Hello, sir. Am I audible?
Yes, yes, you are audible. Am I audible clearly?
Yes, sir. You are audible.
So, if you are ready, we can begin with the mock.
Yes, sir. First of all, good evening to all of the panelists, and thank you for
Good evening.
giving.
Good evening, Apurv. So, Apurv, please tell me what are you doing nowadays?
Sir, presently I am undergoing district training as Rural Development Officer, which is akin to Block Development Officer in the government of Bihar, in Betia West Champaran district.
Okay, West Champaran district. All
Yes,
right,
sir.
all right. So, okay, we'll. You joined this where because this is not mentioned in your DAF.
Yes, sir. The results of this of my exam it came after I had filled the DAF for Forest Service, and they did not allow me opportunity to change my job profile. That is why I could not mention it in the DAF.
Okay, so like from your DAF, it is visible that you have had a long journey, right, for this examination.
Yes, sir.
So like, what has been your motivation throughout this, and why do you want to join Indian Forest Services?
Sir, to answer the first part about motivation, uh, sir, I would say I depend less on motivation and more on discipline in the sense that if I have to do something and that is my work, I would do it. Other than that, also, sir, there has not been any shortfall of energy as in motivation because I've always enjoyed the process, but I depend more on discipline rather than motivation because I think motivation is a fleeting force. It can sometimes go and you can get bursts of motivation, but discipline would always be there. To answer the second question, sir, why do I want to join Indian Forest Service? There are both personal and professional reasons. If I say, sir, about professional reasons, sir, it would be that it would be a unique opportunity for me to become voice to the voiceless or people who have less voice. For example, I get to work with tribals and for forests and for wildlife. Secondly, I would also get a leadership opportunity at quite fairly young age in my career, and I would have a good career progression. And sir, for personal reasons, I would say that the first reason I would have is the steep learning curve, which I'll get in this service. And secondly, sir, the happiness which my parents would get if I qualify for the service.
Okay, Apurv, sir, you have a born in Jharkhand, right? You
Yes,
have
sir.
right, right. So, can you tell me what is the percentage of forest Jharkhand have in terms of land area?
Yes, sir. Sir, recorded forest area in Jharkhand is 29.5%. But if we go by ISFR report, all these trees outside forest and the forest area of Jharkhand, that would come out to be between 31 and 32%.
All right. And how many national park wildlife sanctuaries are there in Jharkhand?
Sir, currently I would not be able to mention the exact number. I think I'll have to read more on this. But the national park, which I know is the Betla National Park, which forms a part of Palamu Tiger Reserve. And there are also other wildlife sanctuaries. Also, for example, we have in Hazaribagh, but I think I would have to read more on the other protected area network in Jharkhand.
All right. So, Apur, you mentioned Palamu Tiger Reserve and Hazaribagh, right? So, like
Yes, sir.
in like few decades ago, they were very famous for tiger. But I think
Yes,
in
sir.
2018 there was a report that there are zero tigers in Palamu Tiger Reserve, and similar is the case with
Yes.
Hazaribagh presently, right? So, like we have read that a lot of experts says that Jharkhand is suffering from empty forest syndrome. So, are you
Yes,
aware
sir.
what is this empty forest syndrome and what are the reasons for it? Please tell us briefly.
Yes, sir. Sir, empty forest syndrome refers to a situation where the forest is devoid of megafauna, but the other habitat conditions, including trees and water bodies, are there in forest. For example, as you rightly mentioned, sir, Jharkhand suffers from empty forest syndrome, as we saw in Palamu. And it was one of the first nine tiger reserves, original nine tiger reserves from Project Tiger, but 2018 census mentioned zero tigers. And the reasons have been many. For example, sir, this has been a land of Naxalism. And so, sir, it has the Naxalism as well as the counter Naxalism operation has resulted in disturbance in the habitat, which makes it very difficult for breeding of big animals. Secondly, sir, the bushmeat hunting, which is prevalent among tribals as well as the camp of security forces, that has also led to decrease in the prey base of the animals. So thirdly, I would say that there's a lot of cattle population there. For example, in Palamu, there are more than 85,000 cattle. So that creates a competition for forage, which affects the herbivore prey base, and the consequent would be the decrease in the large carnivores. So all of these factors combined
All
have.
right. So you mentioned about bushveld hunting, something like that, right? So aren't there any
Yes.
laws in our country or in Jharkhand to protect our forest from such phenomena?
Sir, certainly the laws are there, but the problem is that if in areas of Naxalism, it becomes very difficult for forest officers to go to protect the area. In fact, in Jharkhand, a lot of forest guards have also died in this cause. So when the forest is not protected, it becomes very difficult to enforce this the, the ban on hunting, which is there in the state.
All
That
right.
is the main reason.
All right. So Apurv, you are also into hockey, right? So can you tell me who is the presently the best hockey player in the world?
Sir, I think that would depend upon perspective. If I have to say which player I think is the present best hockey player, I would say it is our hockey captain PR Srijesh. Sorry, he was the former captain. Now he's a hockey goalkeeper, and he's PR Srijesh from Kerala. So I think, in my opinion, he is one of the best players of hockey.
All right. So who is the captain of India's women hockey team?
So the captain of India's women hockey team is Savita Punia from Haryana. Earlier it used to be Rani Rampal, but now Savita Punia is.
All right, all right. So my last question to you, Apurv, is that you are also from geology background. So recently, lithium reserves
Yes.
were found in Kashmir. So can you tell me
Yes.
with which rocks are these reserves associated, and what kind of reserves are they?
Sir, I think I know about this topic, but I would not be able to presently recall it. But I would go and revise through my notes, and I'll get to know more about this topic.
All right, all right. So that's all from my side. Rajisha, please take over.
Thank you, sir.
So Apurva, you were talking about the empty forest of Jharkhand.
Yes.
So do you aware about the custom there named as a Sendra? Have you ever heard of Sendra?
No, sir, I've not heard of
Okay.
this.
So Sendra is one of the customs which prevails among the tribal communities of all tribes in Chota Nagpur, where they go to forest area for kind of ceremonial hunting one day in a year. So the Sendra is that Anyway, so the other thing I would like to know about: have you ever heard a term called ESZ, eco-sensitive zone?
Yes, sir.
What exactly is
Sir,
this?
Sir, eco-sensitive zones are the zones which are marked around the protected area network, for example, national parks and wildlife sanctuaries. The prime mandate is that they would work as shock absorbers and would decrease the negative impact of forest depletion and other human interventions on the protected area network. It was mandated by Supreme Court, and sir, presently the area is it was supposed to be 10 kilometers, but it is not defined, sir. It can be different widths of the area depending upon the case-to-case basis.
So you mentioned a term called protected area network. What exactly this means?
So protected area network, we can say that it is a spatial area which is recognized by legal other means with the prime mandate of conservation of forest. These may include national parks, wildlife reserves, conservation reserves, community reserves.
Okay, good. So I was going through your tab and I realized that earlier you were with an academy.
Yes, sir. I used to
And
work.
these days in India, we have lot many such coaching classes.
Yes.
And at times parents aspire to send their kids to one of these coaching. But these coachings are also considered to be something where that the concept of holistic education is lacking grossly. and they are simply grooming their students to crack particular exam. So that learning is missing. Since you've been part of one of such coaching, so what is your take on that?
Sir, as you correctly pointed out, there has been mushrooming of coachings, and after digitization, especially post the coming of Geo and after COVID, there has been a lot of mushrooming of online coaching also. And yes, the
Hmm.
holistic education does get compromised, but sir, the purpose of coaching, these coachings are not to impart holistic education, but main mandate is to prepare students for specific exams. And I think, sir, I would say they are not wrong in that sense. However, sir, if we have to give holistic education to kids, that should start right from school, and which would reduce the need for such coachings. Also, sir, these coachings also need some reform to improve their mandate. For example, they should provide more mentorship support, more career counseling, and other forms which would improve the quality of education, or I would say quality of learning imparted by them.
Okay, great. So my last question is regarding, you studied at IIT Roorkee, I guess.
Yes,
You studied MTech composite.
yes,
But my question is not that. I want to know that, the people from Bihar and Jharkhand, the kind of, stereotype they've been portrayed in Indian movies
yes.
and, elsewhere. So at times, the people from those area feel some kind of, discrimination. Have you ever experienced something like this during your, tenure at IIT or elsewhere, and how you handle that?
Sir, as you rightly mentioned, there is negative perception and stereotyping against the people of our region, and it does influence the behavior of others. If I talk about my personal examples, sir, I think I have suffered. I'm not sure because I did not ask the person, but sometimes we also suffer from victim syndrome. But if I excuse that thing, I did find that when I was in Bangalore, I used to go to an eatery regularly. So when I used to go there, he asked my name and and my place of from where I belong, and I mentioned it as Bihar. And then I found that the behavior towards me changed a bit in terms of serving or the time allotted and other things. Also, sir, I think I did face initially in college also, but I think through time in places like IITs, which have students from wider economic and regional background, I think the horizon broadens. And in that sense, as we go on from first to second to third year, I think these type of incidences reduce.
So, but do you think that the country has any, tailor-made solution for situation like this? Because even after 75 years of independence, we are, I mean, people from this country facing some kind of discrimination within the country. So not only people from Bihar or Jharkhand facing discrimination in southern part of India, even the people from eastern part of India, they face such kind of discrimination here in central India. The South Indian people feel that they've been discriminated in north of India. So what is the reason? Is there some problem in our psyche, or we are not, why we are not able to handle it in a proper fashion?
Sir, I think the main reason which I believe in this case is the unfamiliarity with the other person. Like, sir, unfamiliarity breeds suspicion in the sense that, sir, from long back, sir, exchanges have been going on in our country from different parts. But I think, sir, it is not up to the level which will make people sensitized towards the other people as well as knowing their cultures. Suppose, sir, if if Ek Bharat Shresth Bharat program, which uh, whose mandate is to improve exchanges between the countries and people get to know each other. Suppose this starts getting successful and it starts producing results, then we'll get to know other people better. And the more we know about the culture, the more we feel that this is they are part of our country, and slowly these things will reduce. And I think, sir, with technology, this all this process will get enhanced in their velocity. So I think, sir, the future looks better than past in this sense.
Okay, great. Thank you. So this much from my side. You can take over.
Thank you very much, sir.
Good evening, Apurv.
Good evening, sir.
So you are from Vaishali, right?
Yes.
So can you tell me few adjoining districts of Vaishali?
Sir, sir, Vaishali, we have Patna, which is separated by Ganga. Then we have Muzaffarpur. Vaishali was initially carved from Muzaffarpur only. Then we have Saran district, whose headquarters is in Chhapra. And sir, there's one more district I'm unable to recall at the present time, but I think there is one more district which borders Vaishali.
Okay, is it Samastipur?
Sir, I'm not sure. I'll go and look into it, sir.
Okay, so you belong to which subdivision?
Sir, I belong to Manar subdivision.
And how many blocks are there?
Sir, I'm not very sure about the number of blocks also, sir. I'm going to
And
look into this.
you belong to which one?
Sir, my block is also Manar and subdivision is also Manar.
Perfect. So can you tell me few GI tags from Bihar?
Sir, GI tags from Bihar include Jardalu Aam, Shahi Lichi, then Mithila paintings. Sir, there are a few more. I'm unable to recall them also. I'll go and look into this also, sir.
Okay, no issues, no issue. Can you tell me name of few districts through which Ganga River passes in Bihar?
Sir, I know that the Ganga River passes through Vaishali and Patna. I think I need to look better into that perspective also.
Okay, so this Vaishali, it had a particular significance in the history of Buddhism, right?
Yes, sir.
So can you tell me which Buddhist council held here?
Sir, I'm not presently able to recall that also. I know that Buddhist council was held, but I would not be able to say if it was second or third Buddhist council.
Okay, okay, fine. How many national parks are there in Bihar?
Sir, I think I would need to refresh my knowledge on that also. I'll go and look into all of these.
You belong, you are posted in Champaran, right?
Yes, sir. Sir,
And
one of the national parks is in Valmiki Tiger Reserve, which is in West Champaran, in my district.
so for how long you have been in that district?
Sir, my district training has started recently only. It has started about one month back, or less than 1
Okay,
month.
so there is a training institute where you have been there, right? For last 6 months.
Sir, I could not join the training institute because I suffered from some physical condition, and so I could not join it. Probably I would be joining it from the next batch, and that takes place in Gaya, sir. So I was not able to join.
Okay, so you were in DPS RK Puram, right?
Yes.
So there was a Padam Shri awardee principal during your time.
Yes.
Who was her?
Sir, her name was Mrs. Shyama Chona.
Right.
She was the principal during our tenure.
Perfect, perfect. So you taught at An Academy. Can you suggest 3 changes which UPSC should bring to their syllabus, their pattern, like that? Any 3 changes which you would like to see?
Sir, can I take a few seconds to think on this?
Yes, sure.
Sir, the first change, sir, I would suggest one changes in each of the 3 phases of exam. In prelims, sir, I would say the solution key of the prelims should be released quicker, and the mark sheet of the students should be released earlier, because it comes very late and then it serves no purpose in terms of preparation for the students. In mains phase, sir, I would suggest, as a committee has also pointed out, I would suggest that we should do away with optionals and increase the weightage of subjects like public administration, which would have direct usefulness in this exam. In such interview phase, I would suggest that for example, this year interview went for a very long time. And so it affects the cycle of preparation of students for the next year. So I think if these three changes are made, then that would ease the life of students from the point of view of preparation.
Okay, anything regarding forest examination, which is conducted by UPSC?
So one suggestion which I think is important is that I think the paper for the subject of forestry should be a compulsory subject rather than an optional subject, because anyway one has to study forestry if one has to work in this subject. And I think, sir, the importance of the fields like tribes and tribology can be enhanced in this exam.
Okay, and so what is the motto of NCC?
Sir, can I take a few seconds? I know it, but I
Yes.
need to recall it.
Yes, sure.
Sir, if you allow me, I can make an attempt. I may be wrong in one of the words.
Okay, go ahead, go ahead.
Sir, it is Ekta Anushashan, and the third word I'm not able to recall.
Okay, okay, it's right, it's right. Uh, so you belong to Bihar, you are posted in Bihar, you are born, you had some kind of association with Jharkhand as well, right? So what do you think in hindsight? Was the partition a good move by the government then? The partition of Bihar and Jharkhand? Has it been beneficial for last 20 years?
Sir, if we look at the partition, the prime reason or the main demand for partition was that tribals felt that they were underrepresented, and they felt a distance from power, both in real sense as well as in perception sense, and that is visible in terms of the number of ministers from Jharkhand area in the Bihar cabinet. So in that sense, I think this partition has served a purpose, and that can be seen in the number of tribal men and women workers in at the police chalks, at the petrol pump station. To give one more illustration, sir, earlier the height criteria for Jharkhand police used to be 5 feet 6 inch, which was not suited to tribal physique. After Jharkhand government came, it was reduced to 4 feet 8 inch. So in that case, sir, the representation has certainly improved. In some of the socio-economic indicators, we may be a bit ahead, and in some of the indicators, we may be a bit less than Bihar. One of the states would be higher, and one of the states would be less. But I think the prime mandate has been served by this bifurcation.
And has it been beneficial to Bihar?
Sir, if we look from economic point of view, certainly it has not been beneficial for Bihar, because most of the industrial base as well as the mineral base and the forest base has gone to Jharkhand. Because Bihar comprised 3/4 of the population, the debt which was divided was also done in that sense only. So Bihar got most of the debt liabilities of the earlier government. But I think, sir, if we take it in a positive sense, now that Bihar is freed from this demand, now it can concentrate on the resources it has, and making use of those resources to serve its own population. So I think if Bihar concentrates on this thing rather than thinking about the things it has lost, then I think there's a lot of potential in both of these states.
Okay, so after the leaker ban, Bihar has a huge loss of revenue, like revenue
Yes.
in terms of taxes on liquor. So and also the choice of food or drinking should be on the citizen itself. Why should government intervene in such things? So what do you think? Was this leaker ban beneficial? Was it suitable for Bihar?
Sir, I think every problem the solution to problem should be customized to that location. In our state, Bihar, I think liquor was a major problem, and that was seen both in terms of the productivity of laborers as well as the cases of domestic violence. And in a poor state like Bihar, the proportion of income spent on liquor directly impacts the proportion of income spent on health and education of children. So I think it also has an angle to intergenerational poverty. So I think, sir, uh, in that sense, I do support this implementation, this legal step. But I think that there is a lot of scope for improvement in terms of implementation of legal.
Okay, so my last question to you. Suppose you are posted as forest officer in Bihar, right? So what would be your three topmost priority?
Sir, the topmost, the priorities of mine would depend on upon the region in which I am posted. For example, sir, if I'm posted in a relatively urbanized area like Patna and Gaya, my priorities would more be on urban forestry and in on mm, making people more environmentally conscious and making children agents of change. So that reflects in the coming generation. However, if I'm posted in place like West Champaran, which has ample amount of forest, then I think my priorities would be to enhance the wildlife of this area, the productivity of forest, as well as the conditions of tribals and other forest dwelling people who are situated in the district.
Okay, thank you, Apur. That's all from my side. Now over to you, man, sir.
Thank you very much, sir.
Ranjit sir, do you want to ask any more questions?
No, I think this much is good.
So, all right, Apur, we will end the session here, right? So you can please leave the call for a few minutes, and then I'll call you
Yes.
back for the feedback, right?
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you
Thank you.
very much to all of you. Thank you, sir.